Hi, what's up? My name is Sharpshooboom, and today we'll be going over ore distribution in 1.18. So, almost exactly a year ago, I started my channel, and one of my first videos was a tutorial on ore distribution, or finding ores, and it was a little cringy, to say the least.
Yo, this is Sharpshooboom with another tutorial. Okay, so there are two different ways to mine, or to get mining materials so you can either cave.
And I figured I could redo that tutorial a year later with a bunch of new ores and 1.18 mechanics. This tutorial will still be relevant to 1.19 because 1.19 isn't really changing much about caves and mining. The only really thing it's adding is the deep dark biome, which won't really be affecting ores much. So the first thing that I want to get out of the way here is how you find your Y coordinate. So my Y coordinate, for example, is 112 right now. I'm currently on Bedrock right now, and so to see your coordinates on Bedrock, you just go to General Game Settings, and then you go down to Show Coordinates, or Don't Show Coordinates. And then if you're on Java, you have to get your debug screen up, so you have to press F3, or with some different computers, you might have to press FN plus F3 or Alt plus FN plus F3. And that's just going to pick up the debug screen, which is going to give you a bunch of different information, one of which is going to be your coordinates. And one last thing before I get into the specific ores. For some ores, I'm going to talk about air exposure. So air exposure is how often an ore spawns as a block that is exposed to air. For example, ancient debris never spawns exposed to air. You will never find it caving. You'll have to mine a block, so that has zero air exposure. And some ores have minimized air exposure. Almost no ores have zero air exposure like ancient debris does. And the first ore that we're going to be doing today is coal ore. So coal ore spawns from Y256 to Y0. And as you can see from the graph, the triangle there is going to have minimized air exposure, and the rectangle is going to have no minimized air exposure. And just a tip for getting coal, if you want to get coal, I would just go to one of those really ugly stone mountain biomes or stone biomes, because those are going to have a bunch of exposed coal that you can just go to town and get a bunch. On the other hand, though, caving is not going to be great for finding coal because coal has minimized air exposure in the area that most caves are, so that is not going to be great. And one last thing about coal, so emerald ore is no longer the rarest ore in the game. The rarest ore in the game is now deep slate coal, and that is because coal ore is really rare around Y level 0, and there's going to be a little bit of deep slate there because the deep slate fades with the stone. So if you ever find any deep slate coal, pick that up with your silk touch because that is very valuable. Then we have iron ore here, and iron spawns basically everywhere, and it is also going to be a good one to find in those ugly stone mountains because it has a lot in high places. For air exposure, iron ore does not have any minimized air exposure whatsoever, so you're going to find a lot caving if you go caving. Another thing to mention about iron ore is that iron ore veins spawn, so those will spawn with tough, and those are those squiggly lines down there, and they will spawn from Y-8 to Y-58. So if you ever find iron ore next to tough, I would suggest checking around because that could result in a lot of iron for you. Next we have copper, which spawns from Y-16 to Y-112, and for air exposure, copper does not have any minimized air exposure, so it will be lucrative to go caving for copper. Also, you may be wondering what that not opaque area is next to the copper triangle, and that is where copper spawns in dripstone caves. So copper spawns more often in dripstone caves, so if you ever need copper, you could always try and find a dripstone cave and then go around caving or strip mining to get a bunch of copper. Also, similarly to iron, copper has copper veins which spawn with granite instead of tuff, and those are going to spawn from Y48 to Y0. And our next ore here is emerald ore, which spawns from Y256 to about 0, and the reason why it is not opaque like the others is because emerald ore only spawns in mountains. If you're not sure if you're in a mountain biome and you're on Java Edition, you can pick up your debug screen and I'm pretty sure it will show you. If you're on Bedrock, I don't know what to tell you. It's been a problem for a while. Also, emerald ore does not have any minimized air exposure, so theoretically you could also probably try and find one of those ugly stone mountains, as long as it's a mountain, and it might have emerald ore there. Next, we have gold ore, which spawns below Y level 32 in most biomes. The reason I say most biomes is because that big rectangle up there is going to be mesa biomes. And for air exposure on gold, the triangle there is going to have a minimized air exposure, and then the tiny little angle down there is going to have no minimized air exposure, and in mesa biomes, in that triangle, it will also not have any minimized air exposure. If you want to get a bunch of gold ore, I would highly suggest going to a mesa biome and just going caving, because those will often have a bunch of exposed gold, since there is no minimized gold exposure or air exposure on gold in that area. Next, we have redstone ore, which spawns between Y level 8 and negative 64, and the best place to mine redstone is going to be at Y level 59. For air exposure on redstone, there is no minimized air exposure, so caving will also get you a lot of redstone. Then we have lapis lazuli, which is going to spawn from level 64 to negative 64, and the best place to mine that is going to be around level 0. And for air exposure, that tiny sliver of a triangle right there is going to have a minimized air exposure, and that long bar is going to have no minimized air exposure. And finally, the one I'm sure you guys have all been waiting for, diamonds. So diamonds spawn from level 16 to negative 64, and the best place to mine diamonds is going to be Y negative 59. And the reason for that is because if you mined lower than that, you would end up running into bedrock, so that is going to be the best level to get as many diamonds as you can without running into bedrock. Also, diamonds have minimized air exposure, so you can go caving for them and you will sometimes find diamonds, but it's going to be a lot more efficient to strip mine. And a few other things that aren't technically ores, geodes. Geodes can be found below Y level 30, and the best way to find geodes, in my opinion, is to just search around ocean floors, and you will often see them poking out. And then we also have lush caves, which I would just search around the overworld if you have an elytra, fly, and see if you can find those lush, what are they called? Lush tree? I'm just going to call them lush trees, those things. And if you dig below them, you will find a lush cave. And finally, dripstone caves, which I don't really have a specific formula for, but again, if you just fly around, you can often find them in like big holes or ravines, and those will again also be good for copper. And lastly, there are a few mining related tips I'd like to show you that you may not know if you have not seen my past content, and I'm just going to hop onto my survival realm to show you these things. So the most efficient way to strip mine on both editions is to use the 1x1 mining method. So if you're on bedrock, what you can do is you can place some water right here and then swim into it, and then you can get into this 1x1 place. And I'm sorry, it's so dark, I forgot to bring torches. But if you're in Java, you can just use a trapdoor and flip it down to put yourself in a swimming position, and then you can mine. And the reason this is most efficient is because if you are, for example, mining in the 2x2, not 2x2, I guess it's the 1x2 method, then every block, oh my god, okay, I need to get torches. So with the 2x1, or it would be 1x2, well, this method, You only expose 4 blocks per mine, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and even on the bottom one, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you do the 1 by 1 method, and I'm gonna put a torch down real quick, not there. Oh my god. Just a sec. You expose 5 blocks per mine, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that is going to be, I can't go in third person. That is going to be more efficient by, what? 1 1/5? I don't feel like doing math, but it's more efficient. Also, another thing is that you mine things faster when they are farther away, and this is most apparent when you are at stone level because you mine stone faster. So if you are right up against where the block that you're mining, it's kind of slow. But if you're farthest away, you can sprint and, okay, of course I hit copper. You can sprint and you will mine as fast as you sprint, and so that is going to be a lot more efficient than doing this, which doesn't even go as fast as just walking. Another thing for both editions, which I can't really show you, is that you mine things faster also if you just click than if you hold down. So if you're holding down, so I'm just holding down right now. I'm holding down the lever. But if I click, then it's going to mine faster, and I have no idea. That doesn't really make sense, but it's just the way it is. And the last thing I'm going to mention in this video, I know this has been a long video, is that for haste mining, the best level to haste mine is at about level 3, because you're not going to run into really any deep slate, but you're still going to get almost all the ores, as you can see, and you will be able to insta-mine. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful to you. If it was, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed and liked if you have not yet. And also, if you want to see where I built this world here, you can check out my Teamcraft episodes. I'm getting a little less awkward in my videos, and I think my last Teamcraft episode that I posted was one of my best yet. So if you want to go check it out, it's going to be in the top right if you're using a computer, but if you're using a phone to watch this, then it's not going to appear. Anyway, I'll hope to see you in my next episode. Oop, a little close there. Bye! I just mined a bunch of... Did that cause any problems? Okay, no it didn't. Also, this took forever to record because I had to re-record a bunch of stuff. So here's some kind of funny bloopers that I thought I'd add because, yeah, this took forever to record. Hi, what's up? And today I'm going... Oy. Nose, limits. And I figured today I could redo that with a year's of experience talking to the camera. Oh my god. I guess a year's experience is not enough. For example, is 112 right now? Nose. Oh my god, my nose. Spawn less when they're exposed to air, but water does not... I get so close and then yep, I gotta redo it. My nose. Causing problems again. A submerged cave, which does not count as... there was a boo! So our first ore here is going to be coal ore. So coal... Oh my god, my nose. My nose. It's not being kind today. Spawns more frequently in Drizabo. And then we have lapis ore, which can be found between. I'm a southerner now. And then finally, dripstone.